Donnie Kite's gonna get through it all and score his first career win in the Saturday Night Racing League Cup Series. What a finish!
It's too little, too late from behind, and Sebastian Marin, your first repeat top split winner of the qualifying series.
We knew it was just a matter of time. Hunter Sr. is victorious.
Josh Adams taking the win at Iowa.
GC Spider Motorsports takes home the 1-2-3 finish.
Hard to believe that we've come all the way from round run at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez back on the 22nd of January to here. 2 rounds to go, a championship that still has not been decided, and a battle that will be interesting. You have a driver who's been steadily improving versus a driver who has 1 race out of 6 outside of the podium. That is where your championship battle lies. That is where the excitement is going to be here tonight as we go through. Welcome everyone here to the Simu Nation Sprint. This is the Porsche Cup Series powered by NOX Gaming here. Simu Nation's Porsche Cup Championship powered by NOX Gaming. Shop for all major sim racing brands under one roof. NOX Gaming also offers PC building services throughout Canada. And Wolf Sim Racing. Wolf Sim Racing builds high-end gear that makes the difference. Precision engineered dashboards and mods designed for the ultimate performance. Don't just play the game, live it. We're here, round 7 of 8, Willow Springs. We went Zandvoort 2 weeks ago, Long Beach a month ago, and then Red Bull Ring, that crazy race. Zolder, Road Atlanta, that was wild, and Mexico City where it all kicked off. It's hard to believe it's Willow Springs, and then Daytona to finish this thing off. As I said earlier, it's a very, very competitive championship in the front here. Phil Bouchard, no wins, but leading by 20 points over David Lamoureux, who has 1 win. Kevin Norris, Jesse Mosley, 3rd and 4th. Anthony Landry, Antoine Lacharite in P6. Tommy Bort, Patrick Archambault, Arnaud Genest, and Kevin Lord round out your top 10 in points here. Taking things through here on into looking at the rest of the qualifying sessions. Give me myself, Brad Dalton, bringing you along this run here in Willow Springs, joined today by Jacob Linke. Jacob, it's a close championship at the top, and I know we talked about this before the broadcast, but the fact that Phil Bouchard has not won a single race but is leading the points shows you how competitive this championship is.
Yes, he had to be consistent all season long in order to keep that benchmark. Worst finish at P4. He's finished second 4 times over the course of the season. His only real competition right now is David Lamoureux. But if we see if we see those two get in contact like we saw last week, we might see Kevin Norris pull it in if those two can't finish it out here tonight at Willow Springs.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting one to really keep an eye on and understand exactly what happens as it goes through. So when we watch and see how this goes, I think it's going to be an exciting one all the way along here. This 40-minute race here in these Porsche cars. Let's go to live pictures here of qualifying now in Willow Springs. And well, Phil Bouchard leading at the top of the charge right now. That consistency has been key, but it hasn't produced a win yet. There's always been someone else there who's been a little bit faster. Anytime Antoine Lacharite has shown up, he's been the consistent winner going through. Anthony Landry, of course, won, and then David Lamoureux won last time out 2 weeks ago here, Jacob, which was an exciting run at Zandvoort.
Yes, first win on the season, 6 rounds in, as we're on board with Valentin Ozganov. Taking a look at what we're going to be dealing with tonight, watching them go up through the Budweiser balcony into another right-hander downhill from that top of that hill, and it's going to be just a sweeping left as we go towards the more technical and open throttle part of the track.
Yeah, this is an exciting track all the way through. This track has been around since 1953, and well, Big Willow is what it's known as, and well, it's known as Big Willow because there's a lot of big sweeping corners, and it's pretty fast all the doggone time when you're on track here, and you can see these Porsches really sweeping it through. The handy part of this track is they do a lot of training here. They do a lot of development and test drives here. So you see through a lot of the corners, you'll have little pegs there to help you find the apex, and that can sometimes play benefit at certain corners, such as Castro Corner, this 90-degree left-hander, or Rabbit's Ear, which is a double apex sweeper here. Turn 2, actually, as it's known, but still, even with it being a sweeper there, we're still carrying 100 miles an hour at the slowest part of the corner.
Yep, Rosemont, California. I think we had our producer, Sagar, say this is one of his home tracks, or at least one that is close to him, as we're watching Phil Bouchard, our current points leader, going through qualifying right now. He has currently got the benchmark time still with .036 over David Lamoureux, and that's going to be the battle to watch tonight.
That it is. It's going to be an exciting battle, top to bottom, as they go along here. Bouchard, very, very quick, very, very consistent here. Again, you know, we've talked about it, and I'll continue to talk about it time and time again. The consistency has been the key here for Phil Bouchard as he goes through and runs along, having just great results every time he comes through. But just no win to his name. Second place last time out. I mean, a slew of second places. Worst finish is 4th, round 2 at Road Atlanta. So, I mean, that's impressive to see here as we wait 60 seconds to go. Coming up the hill, around, down the hill, trying to just keep this track smooth. It's interesting to think that this is just outside of LA by about, I believe, 30 minutes, if I can remember the times here off the top of my head. About 30 minutes away from LA, or 80 miles. That's not 30 minutes. That's more like an hour-ish away from LA.
It's about 2 hours in California traffic. A resident expert on the area has just chimed in our ear, and I've sat in that Cali traffic once or twice, and it's been a nightmare trying to get in and out of places, especially during rush hour. But we are getting to the end of qualifying as everybody's going to start finishing up their laps. 10 seconds are going to be the mark to the checkered flags in qualifying, and everybody's going to need to finish out their laps so we can get gridded and get going for round 7.
And waiting on the rest of the drivers to finish laps are coming here as the timer ticks down on qualifying. Good pace from everyone here going through. It's going to be a close battle between David Lamoureux and Phil Bouchard. Arnaud Genest finding a good 3rd place there here as the final times are coming in. Phil Bouchard finishing up a final lap, it appears, trying to find a little bit more time. I think Lamoureux and Genest are finishing up their final laps as well here. Jesse Mosley Jr. unfortunately will not improve in time there and will sit P4. So it's just your top 3 we're waiting to finish on the run here. We'll see if Lamoureux or Bouchard can find better times for themselves. This is a very, very tightly contested field, and this is one of those tracks in iRacing that I don't think gets enough love, and it's one of those that the more drivers you see running it, the better it is.
I wouldn't consider that. To be honest, since I don't have a lot of experience around other sims, the platform that I most recognize Willow Springs from is Gran Turismo. If anything, I know they got a partnership with Gran Turismo. I wouldn't think of it as more of an iRacing track, if anything. But looking at how close these times are, man, a second separating, like it's just the top 10 within a second of each other.
Top 10 within a second of each other, and all 14 drivers are separated by about 1.5 seconds, and that's a time that is going to very quickly compress as we go into racing. Qualifying is over. Let's go to the grid and let's check out how they are going to line up here for this 40 minutes of racing. Going to be an exciting one here to see through, and it is going to be Phil Bouchard and David Lemeroux up on the front here. Row number 2 is going to be Arnaud Jeunesse, Jesse Mosley, 3rd and 4th. 5th place, Kevin Norris, and 6th place will be Matteo Prudhomme. And I tell you what, Jacob, I'm going to let you finish up the rest of the grid. We got a smaller grid here today.
Yes, indeed. 14 cars. Tommy Burke in 7th. Valentin Ozhiganov in 8th. Guillaume Boyer in 9th. Olivier Languedoc in P10. Johan Morancy in 11th. Sebastien Delage in 12th. Benjamin Gagnon McLaughlin in 13th. And rounding out your field, having not taken the time, will be JF Lessard.
And we'll see JF Lessard jump on the grid here. So, what's the keys to Willow Springs? Well, I will tell you my keys to Willow Springs. It's being smooth, it's being consistent, and it's having fun. I think this is a track that you can overcomplicate when you start to race it. And if you do that, you're just not going to have as much of a fun time. I mean, look at this track. It's in the middle of nowhere, basically, in California. And it's got a lot of up and down. This is a track where they run endurance races. They do all sorts of training sessions here. You can really kind of just have fun at Willow Springs. And I think that's one of the keys here for today is have fun as we wait here for the start to happen. No warm-up laps, no pace laps. We go straight from the grid to racing. Watch Barney there. When's that green flag going to fly? And there we go. We are racing. We are underway. Bouchard and Lemeroux hold on there in the front. It's a clean getaway from all. Nobody really having an issue getting away into the start. And here we go right there. Jeunesse and Norris side by side. 3rd and 4th with Mosley in 5th, looking for a move along as they go. Little bit of a run there. Norris up into 3rd. Jeunesse into 4th. Mosley into 5th.
Kevin Norris making a great jump there, up 2 spots already from the start. He knows that if any mishaps happen to Phil Bouchard and David Lemeroux, he's still got a shot at the championship, but Bouchard got a great jump and he's already out to almost a second gap over Lemeroux.
Here's the thing. You've got Lemeroux on the momentum of winning 2 weeks ago at Zandvoort, so if he can keep that up, and keep that sort of, motivation alive, it's going to be just fine for him here as he goes through, as we watch all of these cars work their way through some of the twisty bits here, through 3, 4, 5, 6, going along, just keeping that run through, keeping it moving around Willow Springs. Again, this is a track with plenty of just comfort as it goes through here as we head down towards Repass Pass. And now through the final corner here, this right-hander that gives you a run to the start-finish line. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's how quick a lap of Willow Springs can go.
Yep, everybody cycling through, getting 120s. Phil Bouchard, the only one to break into the 120.9 bracket, still up ahead, but Lemeroux is very much close behind, having caught up from the start, as we're seeing Arnaud Jeunesse try and fight for position on Kevin Norris. Looking at Ozhiganov right now, fighting with Guillaume Boyer to keep in that top 8 position.
all of these drivers that are here are very closely matched, and I have a feeling if you asked all of them, they would all tell you that they like Willow Springs and that it's a track they really enjoy racing for one reason or another. And right now we're seeing where those battles come along. We're seeing that challenge continue to come through as it goes. Norris and Genest here, third and fourth. The teammates sticking right bumper to bumper. They need to try to catch up to Lamoureux and Bouchard if they can. Need to not let the top two build a gap, but right now it's a second and a half separating the top two to P3 behind, and that is going to need to close here quickly if they can.
Meanwhile, Jesse Mosley tagged onto the back of that tandem. Watch Caven Norris go all the way to the inside. Genest going to have a run on the outside, but Norris is going to have his car to the inside, and everybody is able to get through. Genest up to third, getting that position back from Norris, as we might see another move from Jesse Mosley as we go up into the hill.
I tell you what, that move from Genest and Norris almost looked calculated. That looked like teammates arranging that pass. The only problem they have is that Mosley is so close behind, there's not a lot they can really say otherwise. But a great move, nevertheless, is a great move. And seeing that down the main straight, absolutely good decision as they continue along here. I still think I agree with you there. Mosley, Prudhomme are both big threats here. And look at this as we jump back to Morency and Boyer, who are having a great little scrap here down the hill as they go through Monroe Ridge. This is going to be an interesting moment as they head towards Repass Pass, and let's see how they battle through, because that 203 looks quick.
Yep, and as we're watching all these battles happen, something that I want to point out, this is, we've been at least one street course. We've been at a few other pre-paved, purpose-built racetracks as we see that pass from Boyer on Morency. This is probably one of the widest tracks that these cars have been at, so it gives them a lot of freedom to move around on the straights. You're able to hold it in some of those wide sweeping turns, just hold it down on the gas to generate some momentum, and that is going to be something we're going to have to look at as we go along in this race, as we're seeing Languedoc fight with Sebastien Delage as well.
Multiple running cars wide off there. Big wide there. Not ideal at all there, Jacob, to go that wide. I don't think he meant to. I think that's a case of maybe trying to leave racing room and carry speed, and, well, you can't do both at the same time sometimes.
Yep, saw multiple cars up there. That was Morency and Delage, I believe, going off as we're watching Delage go off again, and he is going to have to recollect it. That's going to drop him back to 13th.
That is heartbreaking there for Delage, dropping all the way back. Lessard is another 12 seconds back there. I don't know what has happened to JF Lessard, but he is well down the order here as we jump back up towards the front here. Jesse Mosley Jr. here again in the mix, trying to take on Genest and Norris as we see a wrap around the outside through Castrol Corner that sets up for the inside into Rabbit's Ear, which Rabbit's Ear is this whole 180-degree right-hander. Hold the inside if you can. Keep the grip in the Porsche, and I tell you what, that is a good way for Mosley and Norris to try to get by. As they do that, though, it's going to let everyone else go along. They're still holding it on through here as they go along into Omega, and a little bit of side-by-side contact, but I think it will be Mosley clearing Norris here when it's all said and done.
I don't think this one's over quite yet because they made some door contact. Caven Norris is going to want to get that position back before too long, as we are well past the 5-minute mark in this race already, and we are just ticking the laps away, almost to lap 5.
Crazy to think that this race is going so quick here as we're 7 minutes in along. Let's jump to the front, though. We've been watching everyone battle back behind. Lamoureux has been slowly reeling in Bouchard here, and I think down the front stretch here, this might be the move. If you're paying attention to what Norris had going on with Mosley behind, where it's outside to inside through turns 1, 2, 3, I mean, that's a good way to try it. And, well, Lamoureux, I thought, was going to set that up. Bouchard shut the door. Top two separated by a quarter of a second as they go into the Rabbit's Ear.
And what we saw last week is much of what we saw all season long between these two. They have been some of the closest competitors on track, as we're seeing a little bit of a network from Bouchard there on board with Lamoureux, watching you can see what line Lamoureux is taking compared to Bouchard. We've seen Bouchard be better in some areas. We've seen Lamoureux be better in some areas. And as they get to the start-finish line every lap, that gap either stretches out or just closes in depending on who's running what line. Both of them going off into the gravel there, taking, like, they're just on the gas the entire time up into this sweeper, just lifting and, like, just gassing it a little bit through there to keep the momentum in. As we're watching Bouchard, he takes a little bit more of a wider line. Lamoureux following in, takes that narrower exit, and he's going to have a lot of momentum on the front stretch.
A little bit of a wheel dip there for Bouchard. Lamoureux looking to the outside, not able to capitalize. Gets right on the rear bumper, but then backs out of it there, going into Castro Corner and down towards Rabbits. Here we go. Let's see, still looking to make a move, not able to capitalize yet, but looking very consistent. Going to swing it wide here. This is a good decision. I think try to pick a different line, try to carry a little bit of momentum into Omega as you go. That is a good way to do it there. A little bit wide again, Bouchard. Bouchard is really pushing the limits of the tire, of the grip, and of the car handling, and of his own skill here at this point as he goes along. So for Phil Bouchard, he is very much holding along here as we go down into Monroe Ridge. And this is going to be where I think things get really close.
And the thing about the early going in these races, you can look around for what works and what doesn't. You can find that grip on track, but you don't want to push it too hard trying to force it into any particular line, because that's just going to waste your tires, because you still got to go 30 more minutes on them for the rest of this race.
That you do. The 30 extra minutes here can be very, very challenging if you do too much too early. We've seen tire strategy play itself out in some of these races where if you push a little bit too much too early, it comes back to bite you in the later run. I think for Phil Bouchard, that's been one of the names of the game, honestly, is the fact that tire strategies came through in the run. So we'll see here if Phil Bouchard can channel some inner tire whisperer getting into the end of this race that we're already a quarter of the way through.
Yep, see, Bouchard is a lot better through that section, but Lamoureux just catches it up through the uphill into that long straightaway past Monroe Ridge as they're up to the top of the Omega here, off past the Budweiser balcony and just downhill, collecting all that momentum. You can see Lamoureux gaining on Bouchard as they go through this section. He is just flooring it all the way through, trying to catch up to the back bumper of Bouchard.
Trying to be consistent is going to be the key here for Lamoureux. I think this is just one of those where you apply the pressure early, you do everything you need to do. You know that you're fighting for a championship as well. You have another round after this, and you have Kevin Norris and Jesse Mosley, who are also going to be challenging you in the background. So what you cannot afford to do at this point is make a mistake. You cannot afford an error. You need to get the, maybe not run wide like both of them just did. I was gonna say, if you're gonna get the pass done, do it cleanly, do it safely, and make sure you don't put yourself at risk for any penalties, any errors, any moments here that would ruin your race, because this is, again, bigger picture has to be thought of right now, and sometimes drivers forget bigger picture. They get narrowed here, Jacob, and when they do that, we see the 774 of Norris absolutely pit maneuver Genest.
I think that was a case of him just going a little too far inside on the corner, and Genest is going to fall all the way back. That's Jesse Mosley that ended up going around in the 8. Watch the 774 just behind the 8 car here, and he is going to have a run going up into Castrol Corner, takes it inside, and just, he rode that curb and got sent off of it into the 8.
Jesse Mosley did not expect him to go for a move up the inside there, and I think for Genest, that was a case, or for Norris, that was a case of, no, I'm going for the move. I have Prudhomme right behind me. I need to go, and you are in my way. Stay out of the way. And they did not agree who was going where. One zigged when the other zagged, and, well, they wanted to zag while they zigged, and it did not work out. And now this is where we sit. This is Norris and Prudhomme right on the bumper of Norris. That just changed this race completely on these two, because now we don't know what damage Norris might be carrying there on the front end.
The 774 was trying to push it to the inside of Mosley. And, well, I guess he succeeded in his maneuver because he got that position. However, that has slowed him down enough to where Mathieu Prudhomme has started to collect him, trying to fight for that 4th spot. Both of them solidly in the top 5 right now. Ozhiganov 5 seconds behind. And he is currently under fire from Tommy Burke.
This is going to be one of those where you look behind at Tommy Burke coming through on Ozhiganov and going along here. Try to sweep the outside, long way around. It's doable, it can work, but you have to be a little bit brave with it, and you have to carry some pace. And right now we see that that was not the case there, but look at the slipstream through. Now break to the outside, force the outside run here. Now, here we go. Outside will turn to the inside, but nope, back out of it before turn 1 there. Tommy Burke deciding not to go for the move into turn 1, but further back, Languedoc here in Delage going for it here in turn 1. They switch through.
You just watched the 910 launch it off of the curb there. That might have opened up Languedoc for a move when they get to the inside of this corner up here. The 910 at a severe disadvantage from that curb hop.
That was a big curb hop there from him going along. So, and I apologize. I said it was Lachlan, or words are hard. I said it was Delage. And that is Languedoc and Lachlan battling it out as they sort themselves out. Languedoc over Lachlan now as they go. As this race has continued to just show the California desert has some great racing. Jumping back up here, Ozhiganov and Bort still battling it out here in the run. And again, you see that 28 taking that wider line through the final corner, trying to make a run, maybe too wide of a line, taking a little bit of dirt.
Yep, lining back up behind the 34 on the front stretch, gathering some of that slipstream. Ozhiganov trying to, he sent it to the inside, and he is going to keep it down to the inside, but Ozhiganov is going to have the position, door banging to the next set of corners, and they are going to have to settle this out before they get up to the uphill, because if they don't, they're likely just going to pit each other off track. Another door bang.
Now, I think the pit maneuver may be coming sooner rather than later. Ozhiganov using all of that Porsche to force moves around there and make sure that he can get the maneuver through. And I can't imagine that Tommy Bork is going to be very pleased with the door banging that was happening there. And we're not at Bristol, guys. We are, in fact, in Willow Springs, California. We're not running Auto Club either, RIP Auto Club. We are running in Willow Springs. So, door banging, it happens. I can't imagine, though, that is going to be very much smiled upon by Tommy Bork as through here along the wide line. Look at the position Ozhiganov did there. He was holding mid, and then he swept back out wide, trying to just break draft a little bit there as they go through, as the lead battle still heating up here. Lamoureux, quarter of a second off of Bouchard. He is not done, not giving space, and just staying right in the mix.
Yep, Lamoureux was behind by up to a second and a half while we were showing you those other battles, but he has caught back up to Phil Bouchard, and this is one of the closest battles on track once again as we're watching. Ozhiganov on Burke again, goes wide into the dirt, and Burke is able to switch it back to the outside, both of them side by side through the corner again. More contact.
They are not done, and again, a pit maneuver almost in the making, but a last-second back out of that one from the 28 as the 34 just held it in the center of the track. I know we talked about the saying, park the bus, but I mean, that was parking the bus and then some. You might as well park an army tank with the way the 34 is just holding the line, not giving any opportunity for a pass to be capitalized on.
And despite the fact that we're back in the States for the last 2 rounds, someone ought to remind them that this is not a non-contact, this is supposed to be a non-contact sport. Tommy Burke back to the inside of Ozhiganov, both of them side by side going down the front stretch, door banging again, both of them bouncing off of each other, trying to get the momentum again, once again, and that is going to put Guillaume Boyer in a position that he probably doesn't want to be in. Those two are going to wreck each other, and he's going to be in the middle of it.
Boyer, you need to back away. Just get yourself a half-second gap and let these two figure it out, because what does the front stretch tell me? The fireworks are there. These two are getting ready to have a moment here in Willow Springs. And, well, this is going to be one of those that they're in win. No! Around Bork! He overdrives it into 6, and that is all she wrote.
Just a little too hard. Got a little, the pot boiled over right there as he was trying to hold that position over Oziganov, and you just watch as the 28 overcooks it into the corner here. Does it look like he, nope, it looks like he just over rotated it and lost the rear end going up the hill, and that is going to hand that position over to Valentino Oziganov, put him in P6.
And now let Boyer open the fence here and start to go for a battle. But if you're Boyer, you've been sitting behind. You see how Oziganov has been driving, so just be a little careful there going through. Let's see if our leaders emulate that battle we just watched. And again, that battle we were watching was not for the lead. That was for P6 coming through. This is the lead. Bouchard, Lamoureux. This is for all the marbles, too. This is for a championship. Again, a reminder here as we approach half race distance, this is your championship P1, P2 in order on track. So for Lamoureux, it is more important to get past Bouchard. And for Bouchard, this would be the first win of the season.
Yep, no telling how important this would be to Bouchard if he is able to close this win out. But if we see some fireworks like we just saw back further in the pack, if Bouchard and Lamoureux end up taking each other out, that will put Kevin Norris in a position to be able to close it out at Daytona 2 weeks from now. But if these two keep running like they are, it's going to come down to it's just going to be those two fighting for that championship as we're watching Boyer and Oziganov once again further back in the field.
This battle is just not going to stop. Oziganov, I hate to say it, but has put a target on his back into the final 2 rounds. That, his move there running through along is just, wow, he's been hard on the racing here, and he's not letting up. Not saying hard racing is a bad thing, but just saying sometimes you see drivers really make it clear how aggressive they're willing to race to hold positions. And, well, I think for Oziganov, it is very clear where the ability is going to be at there for trying to hold into positions here. Boyer trying to play it smooth. Oziganov a little bit too much curb there going up the hill. Let's see if Boyer can capitalize.
Yep, rounding it just behind the 34. Guillaume Boyer lining a shot up, trying to get into the inside of Oziganov. Might have got a little bit of bumper there going up the hill, but going down, he's got the momentum and trying to keep in the slipstream of the 34 so he can take him into the wide sweepers, and we might see a move. He's got him in the corner. He's got the corner, but they're going to have to slow it down at the braking zone coming up.
Let's see what happens here. Into the braking zone again. Oziganov parking the Porsche in the center, runs a little wide down the front stretch, out of the final corner. Down the front stretch we go, heading towards turn 1 of Big Willow here. Slipstream, big run. Let's see how this plays along here. Into Castro corner, holding the outside line, squeezing through. And Boyer past Oziganov here, just barely. Oziganov holding the line, gives the position there. Boyer up into P6 in that 203, holding it through the rabbits here.
That was a huge run by Boyer, and Oziganov is going to have to try and fight back once we get up to the hill section here, watching them go through up and into the Omega. Got a little bit more curb than Boyer wanted there, and that allows Oziganov to get back to the back bumper. Good exit, and we might see a run down the back straight through Monroe Ridge into a wings leg.
Would not surprise me a bit here going through as they go along, heading down towards Repass Pass into the final corners as they go. This is going to be where the most critical areas are in the track to find the best lap times. And this is also a fun fact, where the fastest turn of any racetrack west of the Mississippi River is. Now that is a fun stat to be able to hold here at Willow Springs, is being able to call turn 8 the fastest corner of any track west of the Mississippi River. That's absolutely crazy. Boyer able to hold on, pulls a half-second gap that time around, and, well, we'll see here what can happen from Oziganov. Up in the front, Bouchard and Lamoureux holding along here. 18 minutes left to go, and these two still holding consistently nose to tail. They've gained a 6-second gap over Jeunesse as they go, and we'll see if that gap continues. These two have to start fighting eventually, and well, the principle of it, when you go from slipstreaming, running consistent to fighting, you invite everyone behind to close in the gap. Is 6 seconds enough of a gap for them when they start fighting?
I would think so, based on what we've seen over the course of the season. Lamoureux and Bouchard have a tendency to just run away from everybody, even when they are battling. So they're going down the front stretch now. Lamoureux's going to have the slipstream, and he might have a potential move when we go into Castrol Corner.
No move to be found yet. Certainly gave it a try, though. And you can see doing everything right to set it up. But again, I feel like this is a little bit of a balance of don't overdrive it. Remember, this is a 40-minute race. And don't give it too much. That's a big run there from Languedoc. Going through and around. Too much curb on the inside. The car bounced to the outside. Lost all of the momentum there on Mornsay.
Yep, still holding into that top 10 position. Delage 7 seconds behind, so Languedoc's got that 10th spot sewn up. If he can keep it on track, trying to keep with Johan Morency as we go back to Valentin Ozganov and the battle with him and Guillaume Boyer for that 6th position. Those two, not as much fireworks between them, but Tommy Burke is slowly starting to reel him back in.
There's plenty of time. There's plenty of time. 16 and a half minutes. That's plenty of time to reel this one back in and go for a battle. So we'll have to see here as Languedoc going through, trying to find a move on Morency, going along and just holding right to the back, heading towards turn number 8 here. The high-speed right-hander. We'll see where they go along. There is repass past that slight bend in the track, and here is turn 8 going through, and then turn 9 is right where it tightens here. You see that little curbing on the inside, and the orange thing right there is his Morency running so wide there, trying to carry enough momentum, carried too much momentum, and ran way off.
And that has cost them a position. That's the 9th spot for Olivier Languedoc. Further up, and we go back further to Delage, who's currently holding that position over Benjamin McLaughlin, another car that we saw go off earlier, and he is still holding on to Delage is still holding on to that position. We haven't seen a lot of movement out of the far back of the pack. The only car that has had any major mishap that has debilitated their race, Jesse Mosley, after that contact with Norris earlier, and that has put them 10 positions down in the last running spot in 14th. As we see Bouchard and Lamoureux exit onto the front stretch once again.
This is going to be exciting to watch and see how it plays along as everyone goes through here into the final 15 minutes. 2/3 of this race complete here through. Bouchard leads, Lamoureux still in the front. Gap accordion affecting forward and backward to and fro as they go. The points as it came in, it was 434 points to Phil Bouchard to 414 to David Lamoureux going along for those top two. Right now, that gap would extend a little bit. It would give a little bit of breathing room. 85 points would go the way of Bouchard. 76 points would go to Lamoureux right now. And again, I think even more than that, it's the confidence boost of knowing that this is going to be the first win for Lamoureux if he can hold on to it. That is going to be for Bouchard, if he can hold on to it, it'd be back-to-back wins for Lamoureux if he can get a pass done. Still plenty of time. I don't think that the pressure is off. I think this is just a case, again, of Lamoureux remembering that the battle doesn't really have to start till the last few minutes.
Speaking of the counting of minutes, we are down to the last hour of racing on the season. There's a little over 13 and a half minutes left in this session. We got 40 minutes 2 weeks from now at Daytona, and it's going to come down to these two regardless. Kevin Norris just doesn't have the pace that he needs to pick it up. If these two make contact with each other and send themselves further back in the field, that's the only shot that he's got. But it is likely going to come down to a shootout between the 73 and 25 next week, regardless of the finishing order here today.
And that makes things really exciting because, again, this is just this is the thing. You're trying to add a little bit of comfort in the run. You're not guaranteeing anything. You're just doing what you can here at the moment here around this track. A little bit of traffic about to come up, which is going to be interesting as they're catching up to the 127 of JF Lassard, who has been running through. He's running good lap times, but it goes to show across 40 minutes, even a little bit of a pace difference can prove a big gap along and start to really change the time frame as the drivers run through here. Just taking a look here at the lines down the front stretch. Again, these top two still just holding steady, and you see Genest 8 seconds back. I was going to say 7, but now it's officially 8 seconds back going down the front stretch here. You can kind of see where those gaps are starting to sit for everyone through the field as they go.
Yep, and as you've seen, regardless of the fact that Bouchard and Lamoureux have been fighting with each other for most of this race, they're still gaining time on the cars behind. Genest was 6 seconds when we were talking about it before. Bouchard and Lamoureux have picked up 2 on him since then. As we are 12 minutes left in this session, Lamoureux is going to have to figure something out soon. Otherwise, he's going to run out of...
Hoping he can hold on to it. Here is Bouchard. Lamoureux hoping that Bouchard makes some sort of minor unforced error that just opens the door up. And again, if there's ever a point for that to happen, it's going to be traffic here as we come up to it. It's quicker and quicker. And I would say this is probably going to be one of those moments where traffic will come at the worst possible time. The gap here as they come through turn number 8 and 9 coming around. It's there. And, well, that is the best blessing that could have happened for these top two. Is Lassard pulling over on the front stretch, lifting out of the throttle and deciding, you know what, I'm not going to cause any problems. He could have stayed on his line. He could have ran, but he does the good decision, pulls it over, lifts the throttle, lets it go, and says, this isn't my fight. You two are fighting for much more. Just go on about your day, please.
Yep, and that's just good sportsmanship. That's being aware of your surroundings, watching that relative, and just paying attention to the messages you're getting, like, hey, the leader's coming up, and they are currently fighting with the second place car as we speak. It's best to just lay off, let them go by. You're going to get lapped regardless, and you're just going to have to finish out this race a lap down. No big deal. You're still going to finish. You're still going to log laps, and you're still going to get more experience on track as you have been all night long. Watch out the windshield at the vast expanse of nothing that is this area of California from the perspective of Phil Bouchard.
Yeah, it's always amazing to be looking out. It's just, again, just nothing here in Rosemont, California. Just looking around. I mean, there's some mountains, there's some desert, and then you got a racetrack that's been here since 1953 in this area, the oldest permanent road course in the United States. Really good racing. Again, this is a track that I think is underutilized in iRacing from what I see. And it's a track that has 7 different layouts depending on what you want to run. Actually, sorry, not 7 layouts, 7 entirely different tracks here in the area. Sponsored by Toyota as well. There's Horse Thief Mile, which is an interesting one to talk about going through. There's the autocross skid pad. There's the streets of Willow. There's Willow Springs Speedway. There's Walt James Stadium. There's a kart track here at Willow Springs, which I've commentated, which is a lot of fun. And then, of course, there is the big Willow here that centers it all along in the center of the track. So when it's all said and done, you get a lot of great things here through. And well, I mean, if you ever want to look at Big Willow and see some great racing, they do testing. You can rent the track out. Tons of things to be done here at Willow Springs. And for tonight, it's figure out who's going to win between the top two, gap a quarter of a second coming out of turn 9.
And 3/4 of the way through this session, Bouchard still holding position over Lamoureux, but Lamoureux does have another run like he had before, right behind him, getting within a second, or within a 1/10 of a second, has to back out of it at the last second, jump to the inside, thought about making a move, but he is going to continue harassing the 73 of Bouchard.
This is when I think Lamoureux has pulled off the pulled the brakes off, pulled the lead weight out. I don't know why I'm blanking on my sayings, but I am. This is one of those moments where you see drivers decide, you know what, this is the time. The gloves are off. There it is. That's the saying. Why can't I think of the word the gloves are off? don't have an answer there. But yeah, this is where I think Lamoureux is going to start pushing it a little bit here. Bouchard is going to hang out there in the front, and hopefully Bouchard has saved a little bit in the tank to be able to keep along and keep Lamoureux behind.
This battle has been the most consistent throughout the race, but another one is just heating back up. Tommy Burke has caught himself within 0.3 of a second to Valentin Ozhiganov, and I think there might be a little bit of payback in store.
Oh boy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn if you're going to grab it. I think you and I and Sagar and everybody here know what's about to happen when these two get side by side. We saw them beating doors down the front stretch earlier in this race. And well, as the gaps close up here, I have a feeling we're about to have deja vu.
28 with a great exit right there, and he is catching on the 34, just towing behind Ozhiganov right there. Burke makes a move to the outside, going to try and wrap it around to the outside of the corner, and is going to have a good position for the Rabbits here. Ozhiganov holding it to the outside. He's going to have the momentum on entry, and Burke gets past him, but Ozhiganov going to switch it back and challenge to the inside as they get toward the Omega out of the backstretch.
Coming up here, heading towards Omega they go. They settle it back in single file for now. Both of them hopping a little bit over the curbs, a little bit of hopping there of the wheels, but they hold on to it at the top of the hill as they go. And now we'll see here as they head down towards turn 5, down towards Monroe Ridge. This is going to be one of those where you have to just keep it together and smooth and consistent. And it looks like right now the goal is to get the pass done for Bork here on Ozhiganov as they go through turn 8, turn 9. Just keep it smooth. That's going to be the key.
Yeah, Burke has a lot on his mind right now, and most of it has to do with getting past that 34 within 0.2 of a second right now, and he is going to have a massive run down the front stretch, holding it to the outside, and they're going to be side by side through turn 1 unless Ozhiganov lets him through, which he does.
Very, very good move there, letting him through, because I think he knows he can challenge back. I think that's the thing, is Ozhiganov is not necessarily worried about the pass coming on the main straight. I think he wants to try to challenge back through the corner, and sometimes it's easier to be the chasing car than the attacking car. Look at that move, though. What? That was a weird line heading up into the Omega. I'm not sure why he decided to take that line.
I think it's more of a bluff because he thinks Burke was mirror driving, and that seems to have been the move from earlier. But Lamoureux has a drag race down the front stretch with Phil Bouchard to the outside. They door bang. Lamoureux to the outside. They're going to be to the inside of this next turn. Bouchard able to keep it to the outside, but they do touch, and Lamoureux is going to have another run as they get up toward the Omega from here.
A light touch there between the two, able to both gather it up. And you can see they're both really working those wheels, working those Porsches. They're doing everything that they can to try to give each other the biggest challenge. Here we go. This is where Bouchard, I think, has to really channel deep for 4 minutes and 36 seconds now. You've got to channel deep. You've got to hold on to it, and you've got to defend. This can be possibly your first win all season, going back to the 22nd of January. Not a single win, but a handful of second places to your name. If you can hold on to it, you could be in a great position. We'll see how that plays out as we go through and along here into the end of this race. Drag race down the front stretch again we go. Lamoureux to the outside, Bouchard holding the inside there. Will there be more contact? We'll find out here momentarily as they go down into turn 1, holding on to it, running a little wide, keep it tidy. Outside will turn into inside here. Lamoureux clears before the Rabbits here.
And this is the first time we've seen him get free and clear of Bouchard, but he is going to have a challenge battling back. Bouchard's best sector is coming up through this uphill section. He's been able to gap Lamoureux every time they've gone up through here. And let's see how he does battling from behind as we see Lamoureux take over the first spot for the first time this session.
This is going to be the problem. It's one thing to catch, it's another to pass. And when you've been passed with 3 minutes to go, only about 2, maybe 3 laps to go when they cross the line, you are setting yourself into a pinch of challenging for a position, as you are absolutely under the pressure of time now. Time is not your friend. Time is your absolute enemy as they come through the final corner here. Look at this line that Bouchard is going to run on Lamoureux. Here we go down the front stretch. There is a run. Let's see if it's anything to write home about. It's going to be close, but it's not close enough into turn 1.
Lamoureux stretched it all the way back across the front stretch, and he goes way wide into the gravel, and that allows Bouchard to run to the outside, but he is able to keep it back in it. Lamoureux keeping it to the inside, covering off that run from Bouchard, and Bouchard is going to have to regroup as they get up towards the beginning of the Omega, up the hill, and Lamoureux has to hold him off for another 2.5 minutes if he wants to spoil this win for Bouchard.
Is it a back-to-back and a point swing to Lamoureux, or is it the first win all season for Phil Bouchard? 2 minutes separates us from that answer currently as it stands. And this is the biggest this gap has really been for most of this race, especially with this little time left. And look at this, Lamoureux looking very smooth through turn 8, heading into turn 9, just needs to keep it in the lines, keep it together through the final corner. Doing a great job there, downshifting through, heading along and down the front stretch. First time I think we've seen Lamoureux in several laps keep all 4 tires on the pavement into the front stretch. Cuts over to the left side immediately. 1:30, call it 2 laps to go, including this one.
Lamoureux holding it in the first position, just keeping it in front of Bouchard, covering off the lines, making sure that he has the preferred line through each of these corners and preventing Bouchard from gathering any momentum or making any runs on the back of the 25 right now. Bouchard has to get some momentum to get to the back bumper of the 25, and he's likely going to find that when they go down to the downhill section if he can get that slipstream.
That slipstream will be all important here, running through the fastest section of the track for the penultimate time. And you can see here, Bouchard, Lamoureux, as they go up the hump and through. There we go. There's the pace. Here we go to the inside. Bouchard going through. He's going to look for it here through the bend. Let's see into turn 8 here through repass pass. He got the pass. And Bouchard able to get past Lamoureux, coming around to take the white flag. It'll be 1 lap to go here, Jacob. And what do you know?
It is going to come down to these two next week at Daytona, regardless of what happens. But Phil Bouchard holds off Lamoureux right now. 1 lap to go in this race. Bouchard covers off Lamoureux, gets that lead back. Lamoureux is going to have to make a desperation move if he wants to get that win away from him.
Biggest opportunity at this point is going to be into Omega. Let's see what happens here. We're through Rabbits here. Turn 2 right now. This double apex sweeper. We're through. Let's head towards Omega, the uphill and downhill section of the track. And here we go. Up the hill. Bumper to bumper they go. Nothing able to be done. And now we come back down the hill, around through turn 4, heading towards turn 5 now. We'll go. Coming through. This is... oh, it's going to be close.
Lamoureux got a great exit down the downhill, and he's going to have the momentum right on the back bumper of Bouchard as they exit through Monroe Ridge. Both of them dead heat. Bouchard still holding off Lamoureux, and he's going to have the position into the back end of this track. He's going to cover off, and I think that might do it. I don't think Lamoureux has the momentum to get past him.
Coming through the final corner here. He's got a bit better of a run through 9, but is it going to be enough? He runs wide out of the final corner, trying to carry enough speed. That capitalizes it. We go into Daytona in 2 weeks with a championship run, and Phil Bouchard picks up his first win of the season, leading the points, gave it everything, and it all will come down to Daytona in 2 weeks between those two.
What a nail biter we just saw as we're seeing Mathieu Prudhomme cross the line behind Arnaud Geneste, who finishes out the podium. Caven Norris, after that contact earlier, is going to finish 5th. And man, what a battle we saw between Bouchard and Lamoureux all race long.
Amazing battle between them. Bork and Ozignov battling it out as well as they come out of the final corner now. They have not given each other any patience at all this entire race going through. It's been amazing to watch them. And, well, here's your final results on screen. It is Phil Bouchard picking up his first win here in the season. Amazing to see through. He held the points lead all season. Now he cements it with a win. Lamoureux in second. Jeunesse Prudhomme in P4. And then Caven Norris. We saw him having great runs early on. Unfortunately, a small unforced error drops him into fifth. Boyer in sixth. Bork in seventh. Ozignov P8. Those are two mortal enemies in the making. Morency, Languedoc, and P10, and then just rounding out the field here is going to be McLaughlin, Delage, Lassard, and Mosley rounding out your field. Man, I don't know what to say about that one, Jacob, other than what a race. That was amazing to see, and again, we have a first-time winner, and I think it sets up a great page for Daytona coming up.
Yep. Regardless of how many cars we've had on track throughout these last few rounds, a lot of these races have come down to the wire between the first two drivers, and I think you have a very long-awaited interview coming up.
Absolutely. Soon as Phil Bouchard makes his way up here into the interview, we'll get a quick word with our race winner. Didn't lead every lap, actually. I can't say that, but led enough laps for it to matter here. 3 laps not led, but a great run from Phil there all the way through, cementing in the position of the championship leader. When it goes through, that adds another 9 points to his name here going along. So that will make the gap from 20 points to 29 points, which will mean something has to happen into that final race to really swing things through.
Yep. And it's going to come down to those two. And I think it's not going to just be 4 points. Those two are going to be fighting for the win at Daytona. I think that's going to be my prediction. And whoever wins, I think will take it depending on how the points shake out. But Bouchard might have a solid advantage now that he's got that win on the season. And he might not even have to win now.
Yeah, we'll see how the math calculates out, because the math's a lot better than any math I can do on the fly, but we'll find out all the permutations and stuff before that final round. Still looking for Phil Bouchard. He's not showing up. It's his first win in the season. Maybe he just doesn't want to talk to me.
Well, regardless of whether he shows up or not, he had a great run, has put on a show all season for us, and has shown just what the top end of this Porsche Cup field has to offer in terms of skill and talent. And a lot of these drivers deserve an applause for what they put on tonight.
Absolutely. And here we go. Finally, Phil Bouchard. We've got him. We can give the winner the chance to speak on it. After 40 minutes of hard-fought racing there, you now can say that you've won this season. Never finishing worse than fourth, a ridiculous amount of second places, but finally that sweet, sweet taste of victory. How's it feel?
It's good. It was a tough race, really tough race with the draft. Like I knew I would be stuck with David probably the whole race, and then the tires were just getting off. So yeah, just trying to stay on track, and it did work. Congrats to David too. It was a sweet battle at the end.
It was 3 laps that you didn't lead. For those 3 laps, I have to ask, how were you feeling there, Phil, knowing that you weren't leading going into those final few minutes and you had to get back up into the front?
It was tough. So the whole race, I was just trying to keep the tires alive because it's a very like front tire track. I think David did the same thing. So I think the last 3 laps was just like a sprint to the finish line. But obviously the few long sweeping corners were really hard to get the car pointed. So yeah, I was just trying to stay sharp and get past him. And we traded a few mistakes, and ultimately I ended up with the win.
In 2 weeks, Daytona rounds out the season. I got to ask you, what is your expectation for Daytona? Are we looking at back-to-back victories for you?
Obviously, yeah, I'll try to go for the victory. Daytona is a very like draft-friendly track, so we'll see how it goes. Probably going to be a huge pack at the front, so it's a bit more strategic. But yeah, let's try and grab the win as well.
Awesome. Well, Phil, congratulations on your first victory here this season. It's been great to watch you go. A lot of second places, but finally the win comes next to your name right before the final round of the season.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Jacob, any final thoughts before we send this Willow Springs Raceway race off into the desert sunset?
We're going from coast to coast. 2 weeks from now, we're going from the west coast of California all the way down to probably one of the most recognizable racetracks in the world, Daytona International Speedway. We're running the road course, and it's gonna be one heck of a battle between those two for this championship.
A track that literally has my blood, sweat, and tears on it in literal and metaphorical sense is gonna see blood, sweat, and tears in to be sure you tune in here to enjoy that. But on behalf of Sagar Bakshi, who's brought you all the beautiful imagery behind the scene, on behalf of Jacob Linke, who's been here with me, making this a lot more fun. My name is Bradley Dalton. We take you start to finish. Be sure to join us for the season finale at Daytona, where we'll crown a champion and we'll take you start to finish yet again. Good night.